Oh my goodness. I can't believe that it's been okay. I haven't been keeping track of the last time that I've recorded a podcast episode just because I've been just holding space for myself and being kind to myself. Um, there was a guy that I bumped into at a McDonald's, and he was like, "When's the next episode coming out?" So instead of me going into like a, "Oh, maybe I should," I just said, I'm practicing self love, and when the next episode comes out, it comes out. So I've been being kind to myself. I've been keeping space for me and not beating myself up for not recording another episode. But we are back to regular programming. Let's go. But yes, so the last episode touched on the masks that we wear. So I'm not going to go into too much of that. I would have shared our own little personal story and how we can help identify and recognize those false personas. I would have mentioned how I tweak and what's the word? Sort of try to fit in, with this whole people pleasing thing, trying to fit in so that I'm not regarded as an outsider or odd or strange, because feeling accepted sort of feels safe, for me at least. And that's how I've sort of tried to adapt, become what people are asking of me, which can be detrimental, like I said in the last episode, that it chips away at our authenticity, it chips away um, parts of our true self, So, this is why I feel like this journey is so important. I have to stress, if you do know of anybody that's struggling with self love, struggling with self compassion, please do send them the link to this podcast. I think it's quite important that we all journey together and we become aware of these blind spots, these things that sometimes we aren't taught in school, and we aren't taught at college and university, and when we go to our places of worship, actually. Self love and self compassion, I feel like, isn't being um, taught there. But anyway, we are on to, I can't believe it, episode 5, from self criticism to self compassion, replacing self judgment with kindness. Yo, the way I always do this. I'm literally reading this book called The Mindful Path to Self Compassion, and life changing, life changing. It's just chapter 1, or I'm into chapter 2 already, but the spark that was turned on, the switch that was just like, I can't believe how nasty we are with ourselves. I can't believe how judgmental we are towards ourselves for not saying the right thing at the right point in time. Oh, yeah. It's numbing, actually, the way we can be so self-judgment towards ourselves. We can uh, be self-judging, in any situation. It might not even be the biggest thing, like small situation. Oh my gosh, am I a bad person for having a slice of cake? Am oh my word, am I a bad person for not greeting that person? Am I a bad employee for not remembering something? You, I always do that. I always do that. Am I a bad partner? Am I a bad wife? Am I a bad husband? For not remembering my partner's birthday. We can. There was a message that I got from a very close friend, but I regard her as my family member, um, where unfortunately they did miss Mother's Day, and I know it's important. It's such a beautiful thing to celebrate. It's the, the role that we sometimes identify with, and not getting that validation can be quite yeah, it can be quite scary. It can be painful, it can be hurtful, but I just said to them, this person, their partner, their husband, might be going through quite a bit. I know that his heart is always in the right place. Maybe he's just going through a lot. But on both sides, I kind of feel like we can be very, very judgmental towards ourselves. Never mind that outward projection of judgment and lack of kindness or whatever the case may be. Because let's face it, we all do it. I think we've all been in a situation where might have added a nasty comment on social media, um, not thinking twice. But anyway, so how I feel like self criticism holds me back is in many situations. In many situations. And this podcast is all about vulnerability and being honest and open with one another. But one, oh gosh, there's so many to pick from in terms of self judgment. Um, I always do it. Okay, let's do the partner thing. Because this would have been a very recent example. And so, myself and my partner, we had a bit of a, not even a disagreement. Not even a disagreement. So they like their space. Sometimes when there's a lot on his mind, he might just want his space, and there's nothing wrong. There's literally no argument, no disagreement, no exchange of hurtful words. But me, me, the self critique, the self judgmental podcast of self compassion and love unconditioned. You're the way I and look, it's something for me to think about. It's something for me to ponder on and sit with and really unpack. Why is it that there's this external force or validation, if you will, that I seek? Because let's face it, I personally don't think we need external validation. That might be a very, very difficult pill to swallow, but anyway, it's a conversation for another day. But anyway, so I immediately or automatically, and it happens often, unfortunately, where and Brene Brown calls it the story that we tell ourselves, obviously with a lack of clarification, with a lack of information, not checking the facts. We tend to tell ourselves a story that, hang on, what did I do wrong? Or, oh my gosh. And then you go down this. Look, I don't know if it's everybody. I don't know if this happens in many other relationships or friendships or relationships at work or, goodness me, God forbid, relationships with the cashier or the person that helps you in the store that might not be giving you the biggest, brightest smile, where we tend to close off and be like, oh my gosh, what did I do wrong? Am I not being kind enough? Am I not being courteous enough? Am I a bad partner? Am I a bad employee for not going the extra mile, for not doing certain things? But we don't realize how much personally, or firstly, what that does to the body. Look, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist, I'm not any of that, I'm not an expert in any of that, but I can only imagine the thoughts, that self talk, that words that we tell ourselves that we are a bad dot dot dot, fill in the blank. I'm a bad partner, I'm a bad employee, I'm a bad this or that, I'm a bad citizen for not voting, or whatever the case may be. How much, how detrimental that can be, firstly, for the body. I hear of people saying things like the body can go through illnesses and disease just by the mere fact that we think a certain way, that we think toxic thoughts and we have this negative feeling towards ourselves, for maybe having a difficult childhood or any of that. But I can only imagine how detrimental that self-criticism can be to our bodies. I'm not even going to get into relationships because that's a whole kettle of fish. But secondly, I can only imagine how those self-critique thoughts, how that self-judgmental thoughts play in our mind. Oh, yo. Immediately, I kind of feel like, oh my gosh, I hope there's no delivery at this point in time. Yeah, would anyway. I hope I can only imagine what that does to the mind because I've heard of many things. In fact, this book that I'm reading mentions how whatever situation we face, literally in the physical or face to face with someone, or there's an exchange of words over messaging or WhatsApp or whatever the case may be, it takes an elevator. This is the words from the book. Those thoughts or that situation takes the elevator to the top floor, and that's how we start ruminating. That's how we start, unpacking and analyzing things in our mind, how we could have done things better, how we could have been a better employee, we should have listened in that meeting, how I could have showed up better for my partner because he might have had a difficult day at work. And then automatically I'm thinking, there must have been something I did wrong. It's almost like there's like a certainty. There's like whatever the story that we're telling ourselves, it's like we are certain of it. We are so, like, we're 100% sure. There's nothing else. We can sometimes think back and forth. Okay, man, no, maybe that person is okay. But then that thought comes back again. That's what I feel like ruminating means. How we just back and forth with this self-kindness, but no, I really should have done better. What those things do for us in the physical, in our minds, in our relationships, and how that shows up, it can be quite detrimental. I don't want us to harbor or harbor these thoughts of badness and how it keeps us back and holds us back. But just from me being in a vulnerable space, almost, at least weekly, in terms of work and the situations that I find myself in, and how that self critique can actually hold me back from showing up as my authentic self and showing up as my true self, where I can also show love to the person, in the same way that I show love to myself. But firstly, starting with myself, and I don't think that is selfish. So, I would like us to do a little bit of an exercise. Very similar, I think it was episode 2, where we, were holding space for each of our body parts, or at least the spaces in our mind, within our bodies. So, it's just a quick exercise, just very, very quick. So, I just want you to, even if you're driving, even if you're busy cooking or whatever the case is, just find some stillness. Think about a recent situation where you might have been hard on yourself. You might have spoken down on yourself for something you might have not been aware of, something that you might not have been able to avoid. Think about how much more compassion you'd have for somebody that was in your shoes. So if you forgot someone's birthday, if you forgot to do something in the household, and you were really, really hard on yourself, think about how much more compassion you'd have for somebody that was facing that situation. It could be a friend, a family member, a parent, a grandparent. We're so easily eager to give that person self-compassion and tell them, no, don't worry, you didn't know. Don't worry, It's just another birthday. I'll have one next year. You'd easily tell someone it's okay. Don't worry about it. Don't stress too much about it. Don't let it keep you up at night. The project that we're working on. Yet we exclude ourselves from that level of compassion and that level of understanding. How much more compassion can you pour into your cup, your teacup, your coffee cup? I don't want to say wine cup, but how much more compassion can you pour into your own heart, your own body, that you are trying your best and your best is good enough? So, the next time you are going to be all sassy with yourself and all judgmental and spicy, yet you did your best and you showed up as your best. Think about it. Think about it. Put a very close friend, put your best friend into that situation, or your grandparent, maybe even a parent, where they themselves might have forgotten something or made a mistake. And you just there, you tried your best. Do it to yourself. You tried your best. Cool. Another little story. So I'm not going into too much detail on that, but a very pivotal moment that I had, I think it was this week or last week, where my very immediate response to a situation was to be self-judgmental. And being judgmental, it means not holding space for yourself, telling yourself you screwed up, telling yourself you should have done this better. That for me is that definition of self-judgment, or that self-critique. So what I ended up doing was I sat with it. So this is my little thing lately, thanks to someone very close to me, where it's like, let's not numb, let's not try and run away from that feeling, let's not just chuck it off and run away from it. Let's sit with it. There's this concept called IFS. I don't know if it's called internal family systems or something like that. I can't remember. But very briefly, I was watching a podcast or lecture on it when mentioned personifying this thing that we're running away from. So whether it be trauma. Look, I'm not an expert on it. I don't know exactly. I'd have to read up more on it. But I think it you personify this thing that you're running away from, and it almost becomes, you start to put a picture to it, you start to put a face to it, you start to put a personality to it, which can, like, just even thinking about putting my self-judgmental persona and giving it a face, giving it an outfit, a thing that they wear, you really start to grasp this thing is not bigger than you. It's just another voice sitting on your right hand side or sitting on your left hand side, that is almost like when there's a situation that happens and you want to quickly be judgmental to it, this self-judgment persona almost grabs the joy out of it, like just takes it like almost instantly. And like when I did this exercise, it was somehow funny or almost like unnatural or like bizarre. But once I started sitting with it, and I think this IFS thing, you start to have a conversation with your trauma. You start to have a conversation with this thing that you're running away from. So whether it be death, whether it be illness, whether it be self-judgment, whether it be whatever, poverty, or whatever the thing may be that you're struggling with, you start to ask this thing, this spirit, this quest, this persona, this energy, you start to ask it questions like, what is it that you want? What is it that you're after? Is there something that I can give to you to make you either go away or for us to come to an agreement here? It's weird. It's a weird concept to actually start doing, but this thing that I faced, I was immediately very self-judgmental, have that self-critique. But once I sat with this feeling, this persona, this energy, this thing, I really got to understand. And look, it wasn't like a one size fits all type of thing. It wasn't something that will just go away. But once I actually started listening to what this persona wanted, what it was after, it told me some crazy things, that I am a persona from your childhood that didn't get enough attention. So when there is something that gets said, when there is something that looks a little bit funny, when a friend of mine, skiffs me off, or for whatever the term is, like literally just, said something that I didn't agree with, whatever. That is that thing that sets this thing off, and I'm pointing now to my right because that's where this persona sat. Look, I can't say again that it was something that, but it was such a pivotal moment. It was such a pivotal moment where I started giving this thing, this persona, this buddy of mine, some self-compassion. I started validating them. It's a weird concept, but that for me was such a pivotal thing where instead of just ignoring this thing that's going to follow me for the rest of the week, and I'm going to ruminate and I'm not going to sleep because I'm just so tied up in these thoughts, I actually sat with it and I said, okay, let's sit down. Let's look at what is it that you need? What is it that you're after? What is it that you're missing? Maybe I can give you that. Let's talk. So that for me was quite a pivotal moment, from self-judgment, such self-judgmental moments, to a self-compassion moment. And I think really just that self-talk all the time. If there's just one phrase that you can head into your day with, or end off your day in the evening, and just say, I tried my best today. And my best was good enough. My best was good enough. I think that should be something that we always fall back onto. This whole journey of self-love, self-compassion, love unconditioned, and just shifting from that mode, that shame, that self-judgment, that self-critique, and really how detrimental that can be to how beautiful it can be to, yes, I might have screwed up. Yes, I might have done something wrong, but in that given time, I actually tried my best. Then, 3 ways that I want us to end off with, in terms of how we can start practicing self-compassion. I definitely mentioned one already. So having that inner voice, just becoming softer, just becoming a little bit more positive, just becoming a little bit less, a little bit less ugly and less in my face, and letting that softer, more compassionate voice come through. I think having that, even if it's something that you write on a sticky note you have on your laptop, or next to your desk, or next to your bed, in moments where you feel like, oh, it might go wrong today, or something might happen, having that reminder that today I actually gave it my best. Today I actually showed up for me. Today I actually showed up with kindness. I think that's definitely one way we can start practicing that self-compassion and a little bit more kindness to ourselves. Secondly, definitely something in terms of physical self-care, physical self-love, physical kindness. And I'm not saying go and have cake and go on a sugar rush and go and get Burger King. I'm literally mentioning all my favorite things. But doing something that I would say your body will thank you for. So I do yoga almost every night, almost, at least thrice a week. My body thanks me. I feel like when I wake up in the morning, I'm so rested. I feel so soft in my spirit, in my energy. So definitely that could be something physical that we can do. I would have mentioned some time ago of when I do take a shower, then I might light candles, I might light some incense. That harp music, I don't know if it's called harp music or harp music, I think. It just sounds so heavenly, you know. Having a cup of tea just outside of the shower or in the bathroom with you by the basin, if you want to just sip in between or before or after, um, just to go a little bit extra in your self care, self love, making it a ritual, making it something sweet for you, making it something again that your body will thank you for. It might be something that you enjoy, but make sure it's something that your body can be like, ah, this is nice, this is nutritious, it's a nice smoothie, it's a nice cup of tea, something healthy, something good, something self-sustaining, you know. We tend to, you know, when we want to celebrate and we want to have something good or something nice, it's a glass of wine or whatever the case may be. Do that. Um, every now and then is good, but if we overindulge, these things can get quite. Your body might not thank you. Like 5 days after, we'll be sitting with the 1 kg more. Anywho, and then I think the third one, how do I tend to give myself compassion and self love? I would say, let me leave it open to you as the audience. So whether it be on YouTube or wherever this podcast you're going to be listening to it, or whatever platform, let me know. Let me know how you show yourself some kindness, some self-love, self-compassion, some kindness. Bearing in mind, I would have mentioned in our last session that we are on part 2 of our journey. So part 1 would have been understanding self-love. Now we're into the doing, guys. We're into the practicing self-love. So we're into part 2, and this is this thing of practicing kindness and understanding towards ourselves. You know, just be kind. Just be kind to you. Kind of feel like sometimes when I see people cut me off in traffic and be all nasty and sassy, they might not practice self love. They might not be. I feel like the way we treat others is a direct reflection of how we how we hold ourselves accountable to self compassion, self love, self respect, self compassion, all of these good things, all of these kind things and soft things. Um, so yes, that is my story, Mensa. I'm excited for chapter 5. Oh, setting boundaries, setting ourselves free, learning to prioritize our own needs and desires. Ah, that's gonna be yeah, that's going to be a little bit of a tough one because I feel like I'm just getting into the setting of boundaries. I feel like I'm just getting into stepping into my power, stepping into what is it that I want? What is it that I desire? You know what I mean? So that's going to be a little bit intense. And then chapter 6 will be the power of self-care, nurturing our physical, emotional and mental well-being. Now I'm here for that. I'm excited for that. And then we'll go into the part 2 of embracing our true selves. Maybe just a little bit of precursor to that. I've been struggling a little bit with this thing of really just standing in my true power and standing up for myself and being that bold person. I'm really having to find this sweet balance between being bold and standing up for me, standing up for what is important to me, versus still being kind, still being, I would say, even unconditionally kind. it can be very difficult, you know, it can be very, very difficult. People can take advantage of us, our true nature, of our kind nature, of our caring nature. So it doesn't always sit well, it doesn't always maneuver well, you know, if you, as the kind, caring person, are giving off of yourself um, to others where they are taking advantage and they don't see how much you show up for them. So that's my little journey in the last couple of weeks. That's my little conundrum. I don't want to lose my essence of unconditional love to other people because you can. Yeah, I feel like it's possible. I absolutely feel like it's possible. But I have to start that with me. So, yes, beautiful people, that is my story for today as we were moving from self criticism to self compassion, practicing kindness and understanding towards ourselves. Please do that persona thing, personify your trauma, personify your this dark thing that is maybe not dark. I feel like that's where that thing comes in, where it's like this thing is so negative. You don't want to sit with it. It's a little bit ugly, so you don't want to spend time with it. Personify that inner critique. Personify it. Let it sit next to you. Maybe really go all out and make a cup of tea for this persona, and really just sit with it and unpack with it. What is it that this entity needs? What is it that it's after? Honestly, when I did that activity, the tears were not stopping. It was a gush of emotions, but so pivotal, so enlightening. So yeah, I'm on this journey with you guys. I'm on this journey with you. On that beautiful note, I am sending you so much love, the same love that is within me. I send it back to you with gushes and gushes of glitter and beauty and just amazing, amazing vibes. Just be kind to yourself. You woke up this morning and that already was a win. Just be kind to you. Lots of love. Mwah.